Hello and welcome to today's presentation. My name is Etinesa Usiopaifu and our topic for today is psychological perspectives. Introduction. Psychology is the scientific discipline that studies behavioral and mental processes. Have you ever wondered why we think, feel, and act the way we do and in different environments? According to Gerard and Zimbardo 2019, over time, psychology has evolved from philosophical inquiries into an empirical science that integrates biology, cognitive, and social dimensions of human behaviors. Table of contents. We have what is psychology, branches of psychology, fathers of early psychology, major psychological perspectives, behaviorism, key theories in behaviorism, key assumptions in behaviorism, cognitive psychology, key theories in cognitive psychology, key assumptions in cognitive psychology, similarities and differences between behaviorism and cognitive psychology, and lastly we would look at the application of behaviorism and cognitive psychology in contemporary studies. What is psychology? According to Britannia.com 2025, psychology can be defined as the science that studies mental states and processes and behaviors in humans and in animals. Psychology, in layman's term, is the study of the mind. This name was derived from the Greek words psyche, meaning mind, and logos, meaning study, to study the mind. Okay, next we have the branches of psychology. Psychology has two main branches, which is the basic psychology and the applied psychology. Basic psychology focuses on the theoretical aspects of psychology for the sake of basic knowledge, whereas applied psychology involves the application of this knowledge to solve real life problems. Fathers of early psychology. We have Hippocrates, Aristotle, William Wood, and Sigmund Freud. Early philosophers like Hippocrates philosophized about basic human temperaments, which sounded quite abstract and lacking experimental or scientific backing. Aristotle, in one of his papers, even claimed that the brain was the seat of the rational human mind. But then, in the 17th century, Descartes argued that the mind gives people the capacities for thought and consciousness, meaning the mind decides and the body carries out the decision as balanced states of the mind and the body. Okay, other fathers of early psychology are Wilhelm Wundt, a German psychologist, often referred as the father of experimental psychology. Also, we have Sigmund Freud, an Austrian neurologist, who is known as the father of psychoanalysis, a method used in treating mental illnesses. And lastly, we have William James, an American psychologist, was the leading figure in the James Lange theory of emotions, which states that emotions arise as a result of physiological arousals. Okay, we have major psychological perspectives here. We have biological perspective, behavioral perspective, cognitive perspective, psychodynamic perspective, humanistic perspective, socio-cultural perspective, and evolutionary perspective. For the sake of this study, we will focus on behaviorism and cognitive perspectives of psychology. Next slide. behaviorism. What is behaviorism? Behaviorism is a perspective in psychology based on the idea that all behaviors are learned through conditioning, and conditioning occurs through interaction with our environment. According to J.B. Watson in 1913, give me a dozen healthy infants, well-informed, well-formed, my own specific world to bring them up in, and I'll guarantee to take anyone at random and train him to become any type of specialist, regardless of his talents, abilities, and his race. The behaviorist theory is mainly concerned with observing stimulus response behavior, as these can be measured. What is the stimulus response theory? This theory originated from Ivan Pavlov's work with dogs. Here, a neutral stimulus is paired with a neutral occurring stimulus. Eventually, the neutral stimulus takes up a response for the natural occurring stimulus, even when the natural occurring stimulus is no longer present. Key theorists in behaviorism, we have John B. Watson, an American psychologist who is widely recognized for his Little Albert experiment, where a young child was conditioned to fear a white rat by associating it with loud, frightening noises, which demonstrated that emotions could be conditioned by external stimulus, which is our environment. What are the strengths of Watson's theory? Number one, Watson's experiment made psychology more scientific rather than objective. His experiment proved that behavior can be measured, predicted, and modified. Watson's theory is widely influential in education, behavioral therapy, and even advertising. What are the limitations to Watson's theory? Watson's theory failed to recognize the influence of biology, cognition, and emotions and how they could potentially affect human psychology. Watson's Little Albert experiment was highly unethical, having to put a young child through such traumas. And lastly, his theory ignored the role of genetics and developmental factors play in shaping behaviors. Next, we have Ivan Pavlov, a Russian physiologist, is known for his experiments with dogs. As a result, he believes that automatic behaviors could be manipulated using stimulus from the environment. What are the strengths to Pavlov's experiments? Pavlov's experiments show that learning could also be unconscious and not always a conscious decision-making process. His experiments provided a clear experimental evidence of learning processes. Pavlov's theory is widely used in behavioral therapy, for example, in systematic desensitization. What are the limitations of Pavlov's experiments? Pavlov's experiment were based on animals, which may not fully apply to humans, as we are more complex, a more complex species. 2. His theory ignores or underestimates the role of cognitive processes, just like every other behaviorist theory. Pavlov's theory could not explain complex and abstract behaviors. Next, we have B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner is a psychologist that established the theory of operant conditioning, which basically means learning through consequences. Take, for example, a student studies hard, which is the behavior, and then gets good grades, which is rewards. Okay. This concept is oftentimes driven by reinforcements and punishment or rewards. Skinner's experiment with pigeons and rats proved the power the environment has in shaping behaviors. Now, what are the strengths to Skinner's theory? Skinner's theory showed that behavior can be systematically shaped by reinforcements. His principles and concepts are widely applicable and supported. His apparent conditioning concept is used in schools, parenting, animal training till this day. What are the limitations? Just like every other behavioralist theory, it fails to recognize cognitive processes. There were ethical concerns with this theory with controlling behavior. And lastly, many critics believed he viewed humans too mechanically. Okay. Stimulus response behaviors come in two forms, which are the classical conditioning and the operant conditioning. Classical conditioning came up with Pavlov's theory, which is simply learning through association, as seen in his experiment with dogs, while apparent conditioning, also considered as instrumental conditioning, is the type of learned behavior that is established through reinforcements and punishments. Okay, next we have cognitive psychology. What is cognitive psychology? According to Dr. Alan Zavorsky in 2019, cognitive psychology studies the attention, memory, and consciousness of the human mind. Cognitive psychology sees the human mind as a computer in the sense that its input has a way of influencing its output in behavior. And Wilhelm Wurtz investigated the mind through introspection, observing conscious experiment and patterns. Two key theories that back up cognitive psychology are the information processing model and the cognitive behavioral therapy. Aspects of cognitive psychology. Cognitive psychology has 6 aspects, which are the perception, attention, memory, problem solving and decision making, language, and human intelligence. Key theories in cognitive psychology. We have Jean Piaget, who was a psychologist that proposed that progressive theory about cognitive development, emphasizing that children were active learners who construct knowledge through interactions with their environments, and these stages were the sensorimotor stage, which is from birth to 2 years old, and the pre-operational stage, which is from 2 years to 7 years, the concrete operational stage, 7 years to 11 years, and the formal operational stage, which is from 12 years and above. What are the strengths of Piaget's theory? His theory recognized that qualitative thinking changes across childhood as the child grows. And next, his theory revolutionized the understanding of child development. And lastly, Piaget's cognitive development influenced education by encouraging hands-on learning for kids. What are the limitations to this theory? Piaget's studies was largely based on his own children. We didn't consider genetics or sociocultural effects on a child's development. And next, his studies underestimated children's abilities as this changes based on what they are exposed to. Take, for example, modern technology. And lastly, cognitive developmental stages of Piaget have been too rigid, as development is more continuous rather than confined to a certain age group. And next we have another theorist. We have Lev Zavorsky, a sociocultural theorist who emphasized the role of social interaction, cultural, and language in cognitive development. His main concepts were based on the zone proximal development, the ZDP, and scaffolding. He believed that learning is deeply rooted in social processes which children acquire from more knowledgeable in from more knowledgeable people around them, like their parents, their teachers, and their peers. What are the strengths to this theory? Zivot's theory explained how culture shapes cognitive thinking and development. His theory emphasized the importance of teachers, parents, and peers in a child's development. Zivot's theory is still widely used in collaborative and guided learning. What are the limitations to this theory? There is less empirical evidence than in Pigner's theory. His theory underestimates the biological aspects of development. And lastly, the concept like the ZPD can be difficult to measure scientifically. We have the key assumptions in behaviorism and key assumptions in cognitive psychology. Next, here we have the similarities and the differences between behaviorism and cognitive psychology. And here we have the application of behaviorism in contemporary studies. Behaviorism can be applied in mental health and counseling, classroom education, behavioral therapy and forensic studies, although they also have their strengths and limitations. Next, we have the application of cognitive psychology in contemporary studies, which can be applied in neuroscience, in education, mental health, AI, and marketing. And they also come with their strengths and limitations. In conclusion, psychology is an extremely wide and diverse discipline that investigates behavior and mental processes from diverse theoretical aspects. Each psychological perspective offers different insights, yet some of which are somehow related, ranging from biological mechanisms to social influences of which contributes to a comprehensive understanding of the human nature. While these assumptions methodologies vary, these perspectives collectively enhance psychology's ability to explain, predict, and improve human behavior and well-being. Thank you.